Hey, large group teachers. This week's story is Elijah, and when Elijah is on the mountain and he hears God in the still small voice. So this is the way that we're going to be doing the lesson for this week. We are using the desert box this week since so many important stories happen in the desert. So the way this works is after worship, the MC is going to get up and the MC is going to do their shtick. And then when it's time to do the teaching moment, you're going to bring this box up and you're going to bring the other thing of supplies, which will be like this, all together in this little brown thing, which you'll use as the mountain. This will all be backstage next to the computer. When you're done with it, put it back next to the computer so that the next service can use it too. The words that I'm going to speak are going to be close to the script, but since I have it memorized, it's going to be a little bit different. Make sure that you have your script memorized too. If the words change just a little bit, that's also okay. This is the general gist of the story. This is the desert box. So many important stories happened in the desert that I thought that we should have a piece of it here with us. This story today takes place on a mountain. A mountain that rose high above the desert. Even though it was such a big mountain, it was a good place to hide. And it's where the prophet Elijah hid. A prophet is somebody who speaks to the people the words of God. Sometimes these words make people happy. Other times they make people angry. This time, when Elijah spoke the words of God to the people, they became angry. And so Elijah ran, and Elijah hid on the great mountain. And Elijah said to God, "Where are you?" And God said to Elijah, "I will send you a sign, and you will know that I am there." Elijah sat in the cave on the mountain. And suddenly, a great wind came and swept by the mountain and swept by Elijah. The wind was so loud that Elijah could not even hear his own voice. But God was not in the great wind. A little while later, a great earthquake shook the desert and shook the mountain so hard that Elijah fell. But when Elijah stood back up, he knew that God was not in the earthquake. A little while later, a great fire sprang up in the desert, and it surrounded the mountain, and it surrounded Elijah. But Elijah knew that God was not in the fire. Then Elijah heard a still, small voice whisper, "Elijah, Elijah, Elijah." And Elijah said, "Yes, God." For God was in the still, small voice. Sometimes God speaks loudly. Sometimes God speaks quietly. And when we are in prayer, we can hear God in the loud times, and we can hear God in the soft times. I wonder. I wonder what Elijah felt when the great wind and the great earthquake and the great fire came and God was not there. I wonder what Elijah thought when he heard God in the still, small voice. I wonder what God said to him in the quiet voice. I wonder if God has ever spoken to you in a still, small voice. I wonder what you wonder. Amen. When the story is finished, leave the desert box as it is with the fire and the wind off to the one side with Elijah and the mountain still in the box. Leave it sitting there and exit the stage. Once large group time is over, then you should take the mountain and put all of the figures inside of it, place the upside down mountain in the desert, and then take this box back and place it next to the computer so that the next group can have it. At 12 o'clock, do this too. I will clean this up later. Remember, with this teaching method, the most important thing is to be calm, to be quiet. Let the small group leaders and the MC and the worship leaders take care of the kids. If it's becoming too loud, just stop. And focus always on the story. The only time you should look up and address the kids is at the very beginning when you're sitting down, and at the very end when you're asking the wondering questions. The rest of the time, keep your focus completely on this box. This box is your world. And as long as you make it your world, the kids will make it their world too. Thank you guys, and I will see you next week. Let me know if you have any questions.